Hello and welcome to the Outcast. It's me, your host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And if you couldn't tell by this painful reference that I just made, because I didn't even bother with a voice, why would I? We are talking about the very recently released Super Mario Brothers movie, aka the biggest fight ever between critics and audiences, which do we talk about this first, or should we just say what we thought about the movie
Ooh.
first?
I think we should say what we personally thought about the movie first, then get into what the
Yeah.
critics
Okay.
thought.
I guess before this, Wolf. I know it's gonna be redundant to ask this because it's fucking Mario. Who doesn't know Mario? But what is your experience with Mario?
Oh, I've never heard of Mario before in my life, ever, until just now.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
never even knew he existed. No. I've played the games. I've played some of the more recent games. What's the one that came out on Switch?
Odyssey.
Yes, I've played that one. I've played a lot of the older ones that came out on Super Nintendo and the Nintendo, and I remember the old, like arcade version. Yeah, I'm that old, but I'm also hip with the kids. I played Odyssey and I played Galaxy. I've seen Mario. I know some Mario. I'm aware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, to me, I'll say that obviously Mario is the king of the industry, right? There's no denying that, right? The games are always of quality. The mainline games are always of quality.
Mhm.
I, I personally, I'm not a fan of RPGs personally, so but I know that Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is very loved. The
Yeah.
Mario and Luigi games are beloved. I but in terms of me, as someone who mostly grew up with non-Nintendo stuff, I'm not as attached to Mario as some other
Mhm.
people. But not to discredit him by any like I just got a Switch for my birthday, and I played Odyssey. Odyssey is freaking fantastic, and 3D
Mhm.
World, 3D Land. I played those. I played 64 as a kid too. I played the classics, of course. Super Mario World is great. Like, I would consider myself a casual Mario fan, but at the same time, I would also say, and I guess this is gonna play a part in what we talk about when we get to the movie itself. I feel like Mario, kind of like Mickey Mouse in some sense. Though I obviously Mario I prefer, but kind of like Mickey Mouse, it seems like sometimes the name precedes the actual character in terms of character, not in terms. Again, the games are also quality, but in terms of the icon Mario, the personality behind the hat, he's just kind of there. I don't really care about him much. I prefer Luigi. I prefer Bowser, that kind of thing. And people who've listened to this podcast before know, if we have to bring this into this, and I'll try not to many times, but I'm on the Sonic side mostly.
Yeah, you're one
But
of those. Ugh.
yeah, I'm one of those that if you want to call me out for it, call me out for it.
No,
Sonic
that's
is more
fair.
interesting.
That's fair. Like, I get it though. If anyone tells me like, hey, I don't think Mario has much of a personality, I would agree, right? Like, when I think of Mario, I think of, like, the red hat, the plumber outfit, right? The gloves. I think of the name, right? But I don't think of any personality he has. Like Luigi, there's a personality there, right? There's a character there, even
Mhm.
besides the icon. The same with like a
Yes.
lot of other Nintendo characters, right? There's personality, there's character, but Mario's very much a blank slate in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And that's not
And
necessarily a
so,
bad thing. It works for the games he's in, but
yeah. So now that we can establish that movie, I will say the Super Mario Brothers movie 2023, not the shit one from 30 years ago.
I will argue that one was great.
No, it's not.
It was great for
I
all the
know.
wrong reasons.
Yeah, I know that it's like, people are like opening up to it as like a guilty pleasure thing, but some people actually try and defend it because
Oh,
it's
no.
like, no,
No.
it's
No,
shit.
it's
It's
bad.
shit.
I love it,
I,
but it's bad.
Listen, I still have memories. Just a quick tangent. I have memories of like waking up one Saturday morning and I literally saw something, the Super Mario Brothers one. Like, there was a Mario movie? What the fuck? And then it just starts with this. not even flash animation of like with the dinosaurs. Like, what if the dinosaurs didn't survive? And then I see freaking Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo as Mario and Luigi. Great actors, great actors. But what? But why are British and a Latino playing Italians?
It's great. I love it.
And for the record, both of them hate the movie. Like Bob Hoskins went out to say this was the worst movie he's ever done.
Oh, I'm aware. I still love it though, and him in it.
Yeah. So, anywho, back to now the Mario movie which just came out.
Mm-hmm.
It is completely fine.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I think the trailer got people like a little.
If you
a
want
more
to go
excited.
over the hype train, if you want to go about the journey for this movie, because this one's up and down,
Yeah.
and suddenly, like, we just get this movie which is completely fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's not. And we'll get to this in a bit, but like it's not terrible as the critics will have you say, but it's also not a freaking masterpiece like the audiences would have you believe. It is completely fine, and it's kind of sad where I have to say this because I feel like I can understand where the critics are coming from, and I can understand where the audiences are coming from.
I'll say this: the music goes hard. The people they got to do the soundtrack in this movie, they came in and said, "We're going to do like just amazing. We're gonna like rock the boat, man. We're gonna just come in and we're gonna go hard." And they did. Like the soundtrack of this movie sounds great. They did great.
No, the soundtrack is great, and I would even say, because you know, if people are going to call me a Sonic fanboy for some of the things I might say later, I will say if there's something I think the third Sonic movie should take note is how to incorporate the game music into the soundtrack, because I think this movie did it really well.
Oh, absolutely. But even beyond that, right? I also think the animation and like the scenery, like this movie is very colorful. The
movie is very colorful. The animation is great. The action sequences when like they actually like do stuff that like, hey, that's like playing the game. This looks great.
Yeah.
And everything, and like let's say and even if let's just talk about this now. Even the voice cast, like for the record, I was one of those Chris Pratt as Mario. What the fuck are you smoking, Illumination? But
it works.
I'll be honest,
like it wasn't bad.
I'll say this: there are moments where it's fine. I can live with it. It's not the first choice I would go with, but it works. But then there are some moments where he's just completely out of it. I'm like, okay, this is just Chris Pratt talking into a microphone. There's no acting.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like one of the castings that I was actually excited for, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, he also kind of felt like it's Seth Rogen. And
it felt very like, I'm here. I'm doing my thing.
Again, Seth Rogen has this voice, but I think like he could have probably done something like he could have, even if he just did a bit more growly version of his voice, that could have worked better. But he's just doing his thing, which again it works. I just know that's Seth Rogen.
Yeah, and like a lot of them, it was very much, I know who this person is. I know what they're doing. They're more or less doing their thing. It works. There's nothing wrong with it. I think the strongest one was probably Jack Black as Bowser.
And here you go.
Until he did, like, I will admit, I forgot it was Jack Black playing Bowser until he did the singing part and the singing bit, and then I was like, oh, that's right, that's Jack Black.
That's the thing that, when we say, but that's the thing I want to point out, and I've said it to people, when I was talking about this before the movie came out. When you hear Jack, if you didn't tell me beforehand that Jack Black voices Bowser, besides the one song, I wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have figured it out on my own. He is literally
a good thing, I feel.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a great thing because it's celebrity casting done right. It's like you found someone who can actually play with his voice, and even with Charlie Day as Luigi and Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, where they don't change their voices, but they fit with the animation.
Mm.
They actually, and it's just Chris Pratt sometimes and Seth Rogen who stick out. And obviously, it's something. It's probably because I'm familiar with these actors and something. But it's nothing you can't. It's something you can get over. But just if we are gonna talk about this because it was such a big deal, I might as well say they did fine. It's
Yeah.
not the voiceover is by these two is functional, and for the other people, it's great.
Yeah, like genuinely, if you're going into this movie, the weakest part of it, in my opinion, is the characters, the character development, and the story itself. Like everything else
So
surrounding that is fairly
yeah,
strong, I would say. But
and
it's just
that's
that
so
stuff
that
that just
so
makes it feel
now
like this was fine. This
so
was an
before we get
okay movie. This was a
yeah,
movie
and
by
the reason I'm
elimination.
saying this, so before we actually get into the big debate, I will say, like what you said, the plot and the characters are the weakest part of this movie, and I know, and there is the argument of, oh well, this is not a Scorsese. I've seen people say this is not a Scorsese film, or it's a kids movie, or stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that
like, look at us.
and the big one, you expect story out of Mario. And the thing is, I don't expect story out of Mario when there's a whole game to back it up. Because again, you could argue that the game's plot is like Mario Odyssey. They even kind of now, not to give anything away, but there is even some part of it that outright kind of calls back to Odyssey. But what keeps Odyssey from being stale is that the levels, the gameplay, the mechanics, everything about it is fun to play, and the story doesn't matter because the game you have with it is great to play. In a movie, I don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, in a movie, the plot and characters actually matter, even if it's Mario. And
But I mean,
now
even
comes
beyond that, right? Getting into that getting into that like that defense of, oh, you expect story from a children's film. Hi, we have a film sitting right behind us for the other podcast that we kind of do that's called the Berkcast, How to Train Your Dragon, sitting right there.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
another thing. You have How to Train Your Dragon, you have Puss in Boots 2, and if you want another
more
animated
recent one,
movie
yeah.
with Chris Pratt, you have the Lego movie. A
Oh yeah.
movie a movie which is literally which title is literally an advertisement is much more clever, much funnier, and much smarter than what Mario has. And again, I know that Mario is the king of video games and everything, but that's the thing. I think because he's the king of video games, because he's Mr. Video Game, he deserves a lot better than just references, pretty animation, and just for kids. Who cares about the actual plot if stuff develop naturally? No, no, I'm sorry, I can't agree with that.
I
And to the people,
oh,
and
go ahead.
because I also saw people say, oh, sometimes I don't want a movie to be good. What kind of a defense is that?
I mean, I think what they might mean, and I kind of get it, is sometimes you don't want a movie to be really deep or in depth, right? Sometimes
No,
you just want that
you
junk
see,
food style stuff, right?
that I get it. I get that. But the way it was worded,
No, that's
that's
fair. If they
one.
said if they actively said, "Oh, I don't want it to be good,"
That's
but
one.
why?
And two,
Why do you want a
that's
movie to
the
be
other
bad?
thing. But that's the thing, though. When you say junk food, that's the other thing. I was kind of expecting this to happen before the movie even came out because it's Illumination. And
Yeah.
not to necessarily drag on Illumination, I'm not saying all their films are bad or anything, but they are a very safe studio. I even tell, I told a lot of my friends this. They are a junk food studio essentially. They give you something that's completely safe. It's functional. You can have fun with it, but it's not really. You're not gonna think about it after you're done.
I think
Like,
the only movie of
but
theirs that I've really ever considered more than what it was, I think would be like the first Despicable Me, and that would be it.
that's the one. That's the one that everyone just kind
Yeah,
of says
like
this is the best one, and everything else is just not to discredit any of the other ones. Like I haven't
no,
really
it's not.
seen any of.
They're not terrible. They're not bad. They're there.
Besides Hop is terrible.
Yeah, we don't talk about
But
Hop.
yeah, we will. But
No, please not.
here's the
We talked
thing
about
that
Sonic. That's enough.
that if I want to kind of say, because a bit before this podcast, I've seen a Razor Blades review for this movie, and it's just something that I said since day one when they announced that Illumination is handling this, and that like Nintendo is playing it safe with plots in their games. Illumination plays it safe with all of their movies. It's kind of a match made in heaven. And in that way, I was kind of expecting that the Mario movie was just gonna be safe. It was just gonna be, a fun kind of movie, a fun road trip movie-ish. And in a way, I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
But it also felt like I got what I wanted, but nothing more. Like if a movie doesn't give me more and I just kind of got everything I expected, then you could say, well, it's good. You got what you wanted, but there's a difference between wanted and expected. Because if I expected everything that's going to happen, and not to give things away because we're not in spoilers yet, but I figured out what the climax is going to be like literally 2 minutes in. This is not necessarily a good thing, because if I manage to figure the movie out, I'm not happy. I'm bored because I know exactly what you're doing, and I wasn't necessarily bored, mind you. The animation again keeps it engaging, keeps it fun. But when I look back, I've seen the movie yesterday at the time of this recording, and I'm already slowly forgetting bits from it.
Yeah. It's again, like we said, it's fine, and because of that, it's very forgettable.
And for the record, I know that probably some people are like listening to this and are like, "Oh, you sons of bitches, how dare you!" But for the record, if you had your mind blown by this movie, if you love it, if you adore it, and if you put a smile on your face, I, by all means, enjoy it to your heart's content. I am not gonna take this away from you. I am not. But at the same time, I also want to point out that I think an icon like Mario deserves a bit more than pretty animation, oh, I got it references when it comes to the big screen. And in a way, not to defend that piece of shit, but I feel it was a bit of an overcorrection of the old one. Because if the old movie had absolutely nothing to do with the games, this one is like living and dying by it. And yeah, if there are people who don't really, people know who Mario is, right? But if there are people who didn't really play the games, a lot of the stuff that made you love it is gonna go over their heads, and you can't change that.
I agree.
These are just.
I think my personal biggest criticism, and something that I think might have, I can't say it would or wouldn't have, but I think it might have helped with a lot of things with a lot of issues this movie does have, is that I feel like it just moves too fast for its own good. I feel like it's just from scene to scene to scene to scene to scene, and it feels like if they would just slow down and allow any given scene to just breathe just a bit, I think it would have helped so much with this movie.
There are some plot points here which I'm like, okay, I'm interested, but it seems more like sequel bait than an attempt at character.
I agree. And I think maybe a sequel comes out and blows us all away. And I hope that's the case.
I don't think it's a maybe. This movie is already making big bucks, okay? This movie is going to make it big because it's Mario and because it's Illumination. Like, this movie is making bank. I'm not fooling myself. We are getting a sequel, most definitely. Now, the thing is it gonna be the second Sonic movie where we played it safe the first time, but now we're ready to have fun and go above and beyond?
Well, you say Sonic played it safe, but I won't let us all forget what they were gonna make Sonic look like.
Well, yes, but I'm also talking about the finished product, Wolf.
But we can't forget, though. They were going.
We can't forget, but it's not the final product, right?
But it could have been, and it should
Wolf, you are ruining my example here. Well, anyway, so actually that people wanted that people actually went old Sonic movie design where we saw the first poster for this, and they said Mario's ass is too flat.
Nah.
And okay, but people actually did this for the record. So, anywho, where was I going with this? So, okay, let's assume this is getting a sequel. Are we gonna do what the second Sonic movie did? Is it actually up the stakes, up everything, and after we got the bases right with the first one, now let's have fun with the second one? Or is it gonna be Secret Life of Pets 2, which from what I've heard is basically a bunch of nothing. We just made it because the first one was successful. Illumination.
It's Illumination, so probably just the second one, unfortunately, because it's Illumination. Yeah. Which is
so. Well, so I guess as we get into spoilers, I think because I want to talk about the critics versus audience thing, but I assume the best way to do it is if we already go into spoilers, because actual examples would. Yeah. So if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want anything spoiled, then we won't tell you that the Guardians of the Galaxy ask Mario to join them in the after credit scenes. Oh wait. And that was one joke I wanted to make out of the way. Done. Okay, so before if you don't want anything spoiled, this is your chance to close the video, go watch the movie, come back later. Spoilers in 3, 2, 1. You still here? Good. So, in terms of the critics versus audience thing, which I want to point out, who the fuck cares anymore? Who the fuck?
I mean, I think we've had enough examples throughout recent years of like critics and audiences being very divided in viewpoints of movies, right? And like I think it's just like a difference between tastes at this point, and like how critics view movies versus how your regular moviegoer views a movie. And whether you like that distinction, whether you dislike it, whether you think things should be changed, whether you think you can become a critic and do better, I don't know, give it a shot. But it's these are people. This is their opinion. This is what they thought. Cool. What do you think? That's what matters.
And
if you like
I
it,
also want to say,
enjoy it.
Yeah, and I also want
Technically,
to say
I guess
that
we're critics. Who gives a shit what we think?
Right, we're doing this completely for fun. We're not being paid. We're
I'm
not
a professional.
Yeah, but to some
auteur.
Sure. Well, but I just want to say that some of the criticisms I've seen about the movie are horse shit. Like, don't even give Grace Randolph any of your time. She's a bitch, okay? She's a stupid bitch. Who gave her that job? But
listen, right? The only criticism I think is even remotely acceptable into this movie is that I came into it expecting more, and I walked away feeling very meh. That's a fair criticism. The only other criticism I will accept is this movie should like let itself breathe more, and it just goes from scene to scene too quickly. I think that's genuinely the only fair criticism you can have of this movie, because as we said, everything else about it is just fine. It is Illumination.
But here's the thing.
Fine.
But here's the other thing. What we say is fine for us. We also kind of say because we are familiar with Mario. We like Mario. We've played the games and enjoyed them. And for the record, let's assume, because there are people who know who Mario is. Like, let's take my mom, for example. She knows who Mario is, right? She doesn't really play the games, though. She just knows that there's this character named Mario who is like the most popular video game icon there is, and that her son is like kinda on the fence about them because he thinks these games are good, but the character himself is you get the point.
Yeah.
But that's really all she knows about Mario. So let's assume she sees this movie and suddenly there's the scene where they reference Mario Kart. She's not gonna get that. It's a cool scene. It's a visually beautiful scene. But if a person just knows the name Mario and they just walk in, you're not gonna you're not gonna get why they have so much emphasis on it. We know because Mario Kart is a big deal, but everyone else, like again, let's assume some of those critics didn't play Mario, and that's fair. They're movie critics. Who knows if they even play video games?
Mm-hmm.
You can't blame them for not knowing what Mario Kart is, and
No,
to
that's
find
fair.
that scene. And again, there's actually a point in that scene which I was laughing at because it's like they destroy this Koopa, they destroy this Koopa's car, and he's like, all right, now it's time for my secret weapon, blue shell, and then he does the blue shell
That
thing
was
for
so
Mario Kart.
stupid, but yeah, I admit I
And
chuckled at that one. I also chuckled when
I,
they threw the
you
banana
see,
out behind them, and when they were like at the the Kong village, and
mhm,
dude and the other Kong just sees the banana, freaks out, and then wrecks and explodes.
yeah.
I chuckled at that one. That guy
Yeah,
died.
that
I
was cool.
laughed.
You see, this is cool too. But I'm bringing up the blue shell thing because I chuckle because I know Mario Kart. I know that blue shell is like kryptonite to anyone who's ever played Mario Kart.
Hmm.
It destroys friendships, as people say. But the thing is, this thing just happens without explanation, without nothing, and it's a plot point because it destroys the Rainbow Bridge and it causes the entire "oh no, we think Mario's dead" scene. And again, for us, we get it because we played Mario Kart. We know how much this thing can ruin your chances of winning. But again, let's assume movie critic doesn't play Mario. Maybe he doesn't have time. Maybe he doesn't care. You can never know. You can't expect them to just be like, "got it."
No, that's fair.
And I'm mentioning that because that is a plot point.
Hmm.
This is a point where a reference becomes a plot point, and a big plot point. So this is one thing, and the other stuff. Okay, let's assume you have also the right after you have Mario and Donkey Kong being swallowed by Unagi, and again, if you are on the internet and in the Mario stuff, you know what Unagi is. You know that a lot of people found Unagi terrifying in Super Mario 64. Not that I blame them, this shit is horrifying. But again, suddenly this thing out of nowhere shows up, eats Mario and Donkey Kong, and they have like this little moment where both of them are kind of talking about how their fathers see them as disappointed, and suddenly we are out of it with a Donkey Kong Country reference. Um, yeah, this is not gonna move anyone. This is not gonna touch anyone's
Again,
heartstrings.
that's where I go back to, like, if they just would have let it breathe, but they wanted to throw in as
There
many
you go.
references as possible, and just the character moments don't get the chance to breathe like they probably should.
Hmm. And again, I would say again, bring on references. I'm glad that there are references. I am happy with references.
You could tone them
But
down a
don't,
little bit.
it's not a matter of toning them down. The references don't make a movie great.
Yeah,
The story and characters are what's gonna hold it.
agreed.
So what else is there? So this is but at the same time, I also want to say we kind of talked about this with the audiences. You need to realize that the people who are loving this movie so far are Mario fans, which is completely fair. This movie is right up their alley, and it's completely justified.
Yeah.
But you also need to. But again, just because you grew up loving, reading, enjoying Mario, doesn't mean it doesn't automatically make it a great film. So objectively, you'll have a lot of fun, and that's completely valid. But it doesn't really make the movie as a product any better. And again, I'm mentioning this because look to not just Sonic, but look at Detective Pikachu. Look at the Last of Us show. You know what all three of those have in common? They respect they respect the source material, but they also do their own thing with it and they adapt it into a film.
I think
And
that's why, though. I think because of Last of Us and Arcane and Cyberpunk and Detective Pikachu and many others, I feel like even the Sonic movies to a degree. I feel like that's why people might have come into this expecting more because, it seems like video game adaptations are the new hotness now, right? It seems like, hey, we can do these. We can do them well even.
Yeah,
And
because
then
there
this
were,
one
like
comes
you
out
said,
and
there are
it's,
so
we've
many.
had so many hits, right? We've had so many that are like, holy shit, what happened?
Yeah.
When would we start doing good at this? And then we get this movie and it's like, it's not bad. It's not, it's not the old Super Mario Brothers movie bad. It's not the old, oh, this is, a terrible video game adaptation, add it to the pile. This is just fine. But I think, I don't know. I don't think, you can sit back and say, oh, Mario needs better than this. And it's like, yeah, sure, I get where you're coming from. I don't disagree. It would have been nice. But personally, I'm fine that this is what he got, right? I'm fine with,
Yeah,
this is good. I enjoyed
I'm
this. I had fun with
fine
it.
with
I
it.
can walk away with that.
Yeah, I'm fine that there's like one Mario movie that I can say, well, that was at least fine. I had fun.
But I will
But
agree, I don't think it's an amazing movie because I walk away from this, I'm probably not going to remember it. I'm not going to remember this movie the same way I
and
remember, the
and
old
that's another
90s
thing.
or 80s Super Mario Bros.
And
movie,
yeah,
right?
that's another thing that honestly I can tell that, like, let's say a few more years pass by. I don't know, maybe let's assume 30 more years pass by.
You
People
make
will
me old.
still, yeah, but still, dude, I'm actually turning 30 this year. Like, don't,
Welcome to the club.
yeah, in like exactly 1 week, I'll be 30. Yay! But
Happy
anyway,
birthday. Welcome to the club. It's all downhill from here. No, it's not
oh
that
boy.
bad.
But I will say again. So let's assume 30 more years are gonna pass. People are probably still going to remember the old shitty Mario movie more because that's the one that started the curse. This is the one that started video game based movies are not good. But then there's gonna be this one, which is like, it was fine, but it wasn't some of the other great ones. It wasn't Sonic, it wasn't Detective Pikachu, it wasn't Last of Us, it wasn't even the Cuphead show.
It wasn't Arcane. I feel like out
Yeah,
of the ones that are going to
okay.
stick in people's mind, it'll probably be Arcane, Last of Us, things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, I I hope they come out with a second movie and we can add it to that list.
Yeah.
But I am of the opinion that if we don't, that's fine. It doesn't have to
And
be added to that list. It'd be nice, but it doesn't have to be.
yeah, so that, I guess that just kind of closes down the audiences versus critics debacle for good. But I
Like,
will,
again, it's one of those things of you don't have to take these people's, even ours. You don't have to take our opinion either.
yeah, we are
Seriously.
just here because we enjoy doing a podcast and we want to talk about the Mario movie because we feel like there's something to talk about here.
And, again,
And
like you can
I
look
wa-
at it, professional critics have a job, but still yet it is
yeah,
just their opinion.
and I will say one more thing. Two, but whatever. One is also that you need to keep in mind that movie critics see a new movie every week. Like, they've seen more movies than all of us together.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that this is necessarily giving them more validation or something. I myself disagree with movie critics sometimes. But what I'm saying is that it's easier for them to point out
Flaws.
cliches and plot, and it's easier for them to see cliches and repeated tropes and problems and all of that, and because they've seen so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they see something so bare bones as the Mario movie, which, again, not to discredit you if you enjoy the movie and love it a whole lot, I'm not taking that away. But like you said, the Mario movie isn't like some of those other movies that they see, and if it's not appealing to them, they're gonna treat it as such. So I'm not saying this to validate the critics. I'm saying that to just bring this perspective of people. You are the reason that the critics are so harsh on it is because it doesn't really, if he didn't grab them, and that's completely fair because there's nothing that will necessarily cater to them. And when push comes to shove, they're gonna say it. They're gonna tell it as they see it, and the Mario movie doesn't give them anything that appeal to them.
it's
That's
it's it's a
fair.
difference in reality, right? Like
Yeah.
their view on these things is going to absolutely be different from your general moviegoer, because your general moviegoer isn't going to be going to the movies to see a brand new movie once or multiple times in a week potentially. They're going to go once in a blue moon, maybe a little bit more often, but they're just not going to see as many movies and pick up on everything that critics do, like you said. And critics, again, they pick up on all of these little intricacies and these little flaws and little like things way more because they're way more familiar with all of this. And they need more to pull them in. They need something new, something different. And this doesn't provide that. Is that a bad thing? No. But it's going to seem worse to them because, well, it's doing nothing, and I don't want nothing anymore. Not to paint them in this light of they are the jaded, broken people, but no, like they just see a lot of shit, man. And they
Yeah,
don't have the same
there's
opinion anymore when you see that much shit. It's the same for people who review television shows and video games. When you've seen and played and done so much shit, like,
and
once
for
or
the
multiple
record,
times a week, you kind of
yeah,
like lose perspective on things to some degree.
and the one other thing is this analogy that my girlfriend told me about by Guillermo del Toro, who say what you want about the Troll Hunters movie. He's a respected filmmaker, and he said something. No matter if when you're doing an adaptation, be it you're adapting a video game, a comic, a book, whatever. When you're doing an adaptation, you need to kind of treat it as if you're marrying a woman who was married before. How are you? You don't need to try and be the ex husband, wife, whatever. You need to think how you're going to handle this marriage.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. I just thought it was a brilliant analogy,
No, it's
and
good.
I'm PG in it, but the point is clear.
Get
That
you, get you.
Mhm. So yeah, that's it. So that's the final thing I'll say regarding how this adaptation works or doesn't. Actually, we did talk about spoilers a bit before, but so we are in the spoiler section. But I will say, forget all of this debate. Just us, just me and Wolf talking about the movie we just saw. I will say my biggest gripe with this is that it's called the Super Mario Brothers movie, and one of those brothers is barely doing anything.
Yeah, I will say I feel Luigi has a bit more of an arc than Mario to a degree, but he's very much like he's there for a little bit, gone. Like his arc is really just I'm a coward, and then he does his big like I'm being brave for once, big bro, and that's it really at the very end. But
Yeah.
it feels a
But
bit more
that's the other
character.
thing that,
Even
for
in
the
the
most
movie,
part,
Luigi gets a bit more character.
yeah. But that's actually kind of a thing I want to point out here, that on the one hand I was kind of saying, oh, okay, it's kind of nice to make it Luigi the one that needs saving because Mario didn't
Mm-hmm.
meet Peach yet, so it makes sense that if you're gonna send him against Bowser, might as well have Bowser kidnap someone he cares for.
Yeah.
But then you need to realize that in this 90 minutes movie, Mario and Luigi only share the screen for like 15 minutes. And then by the end, there's actually this moment where Mario is running to get the star, and then Bowser, shoots fire on him, and then Luigi steps in and protects him from the fire. And Luigi tells them, "We are stronger together." Are you? We barely saw you together throughout the entire movie. What are you talking about?
I get you. It's it's again I feel like they needed
And
more. They
then,
needed
and
something. Just like let
there's
things
the
breathe, let it
moment,
go.
there's this moment, and then like they both grab the star, and they actually played the star invincibility team, which is really cool,
Hmm.
and they kick Bowser's ass. It's like, I should feel something. I should be happy. I should be clapping. I should be like, yes, these are the motherfucking Mario Brothers, and they're gonna whoop this guy's ass. And I'm thinking, it's like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it wasn't, again, right? Like, it didn't grab me, right? I
And again,
will
I'm sorry
admit,
to be that guy. I'm sorry to be that guy, but just for a comparison, my girlfriend, not a Sonic fan. Anything
Mhm.
she knows about Sonic, she basically knows thanks to me.
Mhm.
Yet when I saw the second Sonic movie with her, when Super Sonic pops up in the end, she was like, "Oh, that's cool. That is so good. I did it." Like she got into it.
No, I
She
did too.
was,
Will admit
yeah.
it brought you into it.
And why? Because it feels and because you actually cared about this version of Sonic. There was development there. There was something here. Here it's just again, and I want to love this moment. I want to be like, yes, fuck yeah. But it's not working. It's not. Ugh. Uh, Honestly, I think I'm more angry at the fact that the movie didn't pull me in than that instead of it actually having something bad in it because I wanted to love it more, but I can't.
I mean, that's fair. For me, like, I can't say too much. I don't hate it, and it was there.
Again, I don't hate it too. I
I
don't
don't
hate
feel like
it
I
too.
wasted my money to go see it, right? Like, that's the only thing I can
No,
say.
I didn't waste my money. I
And
didn't, and
it does suck
it's
to say that, but at the same time, I'm okay with that, I think.
I'm okay with the fact that we can at least say there's a decent enough Mario movie out there. But anything else, okay, you know what? I said this to a friend. I'll say this again. It's a solid 7 out of 10. Nothing more, nothing less.
I'd say a 6, maybe 6.5. Not quite a
Eh,
7.
Small differences, you know, like.
Not fair.
Hmm.
Fair.
But so this was the big point I wanted to bring up. Mario and Luigi, for being the Mario brothers, they are barely interacting. Luigi barely gets anything to do, and it sucks because I'm a big Luigi fan. So, but everything else. Uh, can we talk about Peach?
Yeah, sure. She was
I I will
okay.
say this. I know that she's actually do. I know that she's playable in the American Mario 2, but that's a dream, so it's not like she actually did anything. And she is the best character to play as in 3D World. I give her that. But besides, I know that Super Princess Peach exists, but I haven't played it, so not much experience with it. But I know it exists before somebody brings it up. But I appreciate that the movie doesn't make her the damsel in distress because I fucking hate Peach in the games. She's the most useless bimbo ever outside of the 3 games mentioned,
Rude.
and it's like, you tell me I'm fucking wrong. She gets kidnapped in almost every fucking game, and like at some point it's just like, you know what? No, kill the bitch. I don't care anymore.
Rude.
Maybe I'm rude, but you know what? I'm just pointing out the freaking fact. And then,
Send all your angry hate mail to @HC.
you know what? Yeah, because again, this is one of, and for the record, so I will say, I am happy that they actually made her a bit, and I know they based it on like the Mario comic that was around at the time. I know that there's something
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that makes her like really badass in the comic and everything too, way back in the
Yeah.
day. If you read that.
So I know it exists. I know that they kind of make it that she saves herself in that, which you know what, cool. But what I want to point out is that apparently now Miyamoto and other people are like, Peach was always a badass in the game. It's like, no, she wasn't. No, she fucking wasn't. Don't tell me that she was always a badass now because the movie made her such. She wasn't. Look at the freaking facts. Look at the things that look at the thing. Actually, isn't I think it's in the new Super Mario Bros. Wii where she actually says, because of my most recent kidnapping, she treats kidnapping as if she's going out to get groceries.
I mean, for her, that's not exactly wrong, though.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. You can't tell me that the person that's been kidnapped that much was always a strong, independent person.
Listen,
No,
she
that
is. She just wanted to give Mario a chance to prove himself. He needed it.
Mario deserves a freaking position of power after he saved her so many goddamn times.
Have you
If
seen
anything,
Mario? He has not. He's a blank slate. He needs nothing. He couldn't handle it.
well, you know what? I'd rather a blank slate or a robot to run in this fucking kingdom than this bitch does. She spends more time in the jail cell than in the freaking castle.
Listen, if she didn't do it, it would be boring all the time. So, you know, she lets herself get kidnapped a couple times a week. Every week.
I am not even gonna fight it because you're just burying your own grave deeper and deeper.
Or we can or we can go down the other route. You know, Bowsette is a thing that exists now.
You know what? For the record, I
Maybe
just
that's
want to
why
say
she gets kidnapped.
I just want to say that our
Why did you
good
reference
friend,
that in your movie, motherfucker?
Yeah, I was about to say. I am about to get to it. I just want to that our good friend Leffy from the How to Train a Dragon fandom. She she loves Peach, but she hated the Bowsette idea. She just hated it.
She's
And I'm
wrong.
like, and no, but I'm just like I was actually hoping that maybe there is. I don't know. Maybe I missed it, but like. I was so hoping that there would be a Bowsette.
Nintendo would never allow it. If that was in this movie, Nintendo would be like, "We're done. Never again. We're out." I would have loved it. I think everyone would have loved it.
I think people, but I just kind of hope that there would be a Bowsette reference in there just to see Leffy's reaction to seeing that on the big screen.
I'm certain. I have no doubt in my mind that just like with seeing the Tobey Maguire dance, reference in Spider-Man No Way Home, we will eventually get an edit that shows Bowsette doing something within the Mario movie. We have to.
Yeah.
Internet, you know your job. Do it.
Yeah. Do it. What I had something to say regarding Bowsette now that okay, never mind. But anyway, so Peach in this movie, I am glad that she's not a damsel. I am happy with the fact that they made her a bit more competent and a bit more, and a bit more in the action, and that she's not a blank. Okay, you know what? That's the thing, though. They made her another blank slate because, like, she has good moments. She's funny, and again, Anya Taylor-Joy's performance is really good. Like, she really matches. But I also feel like there was nothing really interesting done with her. She's the girl boss, and that's about all there is.
No, I agree with that.
No
like
problem
she
with the
went
fact
from, damsel in distress to girl boss, and there's nothing in between. There's like no character other to her than just girl boss, which is fine.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Again, not record because I've seen people say that there's feminist propaganda in the mind. No, this is nothing like that. I'm just it's just that cool. You made her a girl boss. Now what? Nothing. That's everything. Okay.
I agree. I agree with that statement. Like it's cool, but they do nothing else with her. So it's kind of like, all right, shrug, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Next, so Bowser.
I mean, I think Bowser is probably the most character in this movie, man. I think Jack Black did great. Like, I think it's great how they represented him, like, simping for Peach and everything, and the dichotomy between him being, like, evil asshole, forgive my language, to simps for Peach on a dime, right? I think it's great. I have no issue with this. It's probably the best character here, and the most character of character in this movie.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not entirely sure what to think about the fact that he actually that he's actually simping for her. Like, it makes sense. I mean,
how else do you pull from how else do you, like, I don't know what other direction you could take for that.
Honestly, because again, they do. I would even say blatantly reference Mario Odyssey, where he wants to marry her. But
I take it back. I know what other direction they could take for it. They'll never do it because Nintendo will never allow it, but they could do it. It's sitting right there, just staring at us out in the background.
Oh, so what is
waiting.
it? Because I have an idea.
We've already
because I have
talked
an
about
idea.
it.
Remind me anyway.
We
because
just
I have
talked
an
about
idea.
it.
Well, obviously they can
She
do that.
is there. Bowsette.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously,
that's the only
let's
thing they
say
can
that
do.
people, because of Mario Sunshine, are already like shit because in the end Bowser was like, yeah, Peach is not your mother. But when Bowser Jr. does say Mama Peach, is like, Mama Peach, I'm your mother. Like, she actually has to think about it. She actually has to think. So it's like, Mario Sunshine, put that out there. But listen, regardless, okay? Whether you call it, I want to say something else. In Mario Odyssey, at this impression I got, is that he doesn't necessarily want to marry her because he loves her, but because marrying her makes him the king. And if he's in the king, he's in a position of power, and that's what he wants. I think that's this direction they could have gone with, but they more make it that Peach is his main goal. But if she says no, he's gonna destroy the Mushroom Kingdom, which fell. I guess I just think, I don't know. Maybe I'm just nitpicking on that one. I just feel
like it's weird. I didn't like. I sat there and watched it. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. But I guess it works considering the games, at least the older games. Like maybe if you look at the newer games, again, I'm sure, someone more creative than I could have found different ways to take this that would have been more interesting and potentially even more enjoyable. They didn't here. So looking at what we got, I say, I'm all right with that. It works. I don't have a complaint per se.
Yeah. Well, again, it works. Bowser is the best thing about the movie.
I think you're going to hear that a lot in this review. It works.
I will say, though, there was one part, going back to Peach, actually, there was a part which cracked me up. It wasn't intentional, but it killed me. When in the wedding, she gets the ice flower and she starts freezing everyone, it's like, you do realize that people already make the comparisons between Rosalina and Elsa, right? Now, you just literally gave us a blonde princess/queen in a blue attire, fire and ice.
They knew Illumination. What they were doing. They knew
Illumination.
What they were doing.
I know they would know what they were doing, but I was laughing so hard. It's like, Illumination. Mario can make you enough movie on its own. You don't. This was so fucking blatant.
Oh yeah, absolutely agree. Like that was like, oh, Elsa, okay, cool. Like that was my first thought. Like, I'm sorry, I can't not think about it.
It's literally there. Like, no way nobody saw that. No way you could have ignored it. There's a blonde. There's a blonde girl.
I'm going to assume it's done on purpose. If they did it completely by accident, I don't believe you. I just don't.
No. Listen, animated movies take how long to make? This movie in particular was announced like 5 years ago. So no, they knew.
Yeah, agreed.
At some point, somebody would have looked at it and was like, "Yeah, no." As far as I'm aware, Peach never wore the ice flower. I haven't really played the.
Well, now, I mean,
the Mario U. I haven't played Mario U Deluxe, where there's a thing there, but I don't think that's how. Either way, it looks like it.
Illumination is just giving the fan fiction people their thing. Now they can write fan fiction with Peach and Elsa together.
Yeah, people haven't done it before. You never know.
I'm sure they have.
Because again,
but now they have even more reason.
We have Rosalina from Mario Galaxy. Everyone made the comparisons.
True, but now you have even more to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun, fanfic writers. Illumination is out here looking out for you. They're making sure you can eat.
So we basically talked about Mario. No, we talked about Peach. We talked about Bowser. We talked about kind of Luigi. Donkey Kong. He's there. He's all right. Moving
I
on.
I don't see the point in him being here. Like
I'll tell you
I
what. I'll
I
tell
went
you
into
what.
this completely blind. I've not watched a trailer or anything. And when they said the Kong Army, I'm like, wait, what? And then we see Donkey Kong and everything. I'm like,
By
I
the
get it,
way,
but what? Why?
okay. Actually, hear
Is
me
this a
out.
Mario movie or is this just a Nintendo crossover movie?
Which honestly, we'll talk about this later. Actually, I
I
want to talk
feel
about it.
I feel like Donkey Kong's a thing you save for like a second movie personally, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I guess they kind of felt the need because, for one, Illumination, I think already stated that that they are working on a Donkey Kong movie, which is
No.
why, you start saying
No.
like you already see Diddy Kong, you see Dixie, and all of that. But
Don't do
yeah,
it, Illumination. No. Just
well,
no.
but I will. I thought, okay, it's kind of fitting because Mario originated from Donkey Kong.
I
I
get
can
it.
get it.
I don't disagree. I don't know. I don't I feel
Not
like
now.
yeah,
By
I
the
don't know if
way,
it works. Like it's there's nothing wrong with it. It just feels like I don't know, maybe we could have what did he do in this movie?
he beat Mario up, which was admittedly pretty funny.
I guess, but that's it. Other than
And then
that,
again,
he's just
that's
there.
the other thing that they try to give them like this bonding moment where like both of their fathers are giving them shit for not being living up to their expectations, and then but that's just like it's there for a few seconds,
Well,
and
it's
then it's never
settled at the
brought
end of
up
the
again.
movie too, because like both their dads like, I'm proud of you, son. And it's like,
Yeah,
cool,
that's it.
thanks, Pop.
It's like cool. You did a thing, father. Thank you.
So it's like that
Um,
issue solved. So now what do they have to bond over? The fact that they both got praised by their dad once? Cool.
yeah. I will again. It's kind of the scene where they got like a charge the wedding and stuff.
Was
That's
neat. Like
cool.
seeing like Fireflower Donkey Kong was neat. I won't
Yeah.
disagree, but I don't know. I feel like Donkey Kong's one of those things in this movie. It's like if you take him away, how does that scene change? You know, why
Honestly,
not
yeah. It could have
like
been like any other.
or
It could have been any other enemy. You
but
could have found something.
But you also could have just had Luigi in that scene, just saying, like that could have been Luigi instead of Donkey Kong, because
But
Super Mario
I just
Bros.
want to
Bros.
another
movie,
thing I
just
want to ask.
saying.
Wolf. I just want to ask this. That scene when they say, "Oh, if we want to take on board, we need like the help of the Kong Kingdom," and they come there and there's like a leader who's like, "Yeah, okay, but this is your battle. Why should I? Why should I? Bring my people into this?" But let's have a fight. Am I the only one who thought about Mobaku from Black Panther?
Eh, yeah,
It was like the same thing. It's like, oh, it's your battle. Why should we interfere? And then it's like,
yeah,
you know what? It's
yeah.
kind of,
I can see it.
Hmm.
I get it.
So, all right. Well, what was the other one? What was the so you're the and then to my surprise, I found out about this after the movie. But you know how Diddy Kong is there, like he's laughing for a bit, and they're like, "Diddy, shut up." Apparently, that's James Franco as Diddy Kong.
Huh? Really?
And I get it because the Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, they're chumps, they're best friends. So obviously, if you're gonna put someone that will have one of Seth Rogen's actual friends, but you need to realize that now we can say that there's a movie with Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong going to murder the president of Korea.
Yep.
You know what I mean,
No, I
right?
get you. I know you're talking about. I believe that's The Interview, right? Is that the movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need to understand this is an actual thing we can say now. That's incredible for all the wrong reasons, but it's incredible nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess one thing left to talk about, and that's Mr. Video Game himself.
Meaning.
Hmm?
Meaning.
We didn't really talk about Mario in the movie, so
Oh
might as
well,
well talk.
Well, speaking of Mario, I did like the I enjoyed the little reference at the earlier in the movie with Charles Martinet, as like the old Mario from the original arcade game and
He's
using his
also
voice
voice
and everything.
is
And he's
yeah,
also the voice of their father too, I know. Which is
yes.
nice.
I guess in both ways it was respectful for him, and like honestly, Charles Martinet just looked like a big teddy bear. Like you want to give him a hug. He seems like one of the nicest people.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he got at least to appear in the movie.
I think I'll admit I've heard some people say it. I don't think his voice would have worked for Mario for the entire movie. Going to be honest, I think that probably would have gotten a little grating. So I think this was a great way to have him involved and do a little reference to like that earlier Mario game, the arcade game and everything, what started it all, and it's nice. It's a fun little thing. But getting into Chris Pratt as Mario, he again like it's fine.
So, but the one thing I want to say about Mario, because we kind of talked about Luigi, so I am half and half about the backstory both of them got, and like just Mario's arc in general, because it's I did you recognize the song from the ad they have?
I don't think so. No.
It's the theme song for the old Mario cartoon, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Ah, okay.
Which honestly, this was kind of cool. I won't lie. This was this was cool. So anyway, I enjoyed the fact that we actually see them to be plumbers, because this is something the game kind of ignores for the most part, but then they just do this thing which immediately, as I said, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, we're doing this. Where there's like this asshole guy who's like, ha ha, look at you opening your own business where you could have continued to work for me, and then and had that steady income and stuff. And it's like, who the fuck are you?
I completely just med through that. Like, all right, cool, don't care. Let's move on.
Meh. I'm kind of meh about it, but as soon as like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do the thing that they're like underdogs and stuff, and then they get it. By the way, Luigi's ringtone being the GameCube starting sound, that was a cute touch. That was cute.
Agreed.
But then they get a client, and obviously, hijinks with the dog going through, and then they lose the client, and there's this entire thing about the family kind of telling Mario, "Stop bringing your brother down." It's like, what?
That just felt like, again, like there's so much that starting off point with the movie just feels so contrived. What with I think his name is like Spike, and the dog being fucking psychotic, because you stepped on a fucking bone, and just with like his family and his dad saying, you're bringing your brother down with you because you are making all these terrible choices, and it's like it just feels so contrived. Like, what? Why do we need this?
Yeah, again, like I told this to my girlfriend, and she's like, "Oh, so they are doing like an origin story with this?" And it's like, yeah, it's an origin story. It's a Marvel origin story.
It's bad though.
Yeah,
Marvel origin stories tend to at least be decent to good. This one is just
obviously, some are better than others, right? But like, wow.
Like, I didn't even, like the audience did. And again, maybe I'm just old and no longer find anything funny because I'm jaded, right? Because I'm old. And I get that. I accept that. It's just one of those things that happens. But I didn't even laugh at anything with the dog. I'm just kind of like, all right.
I chuckled. Actually, if you want my opinion about it, I chuckled at some things.
I'll admit, no, I didn't. I really didn't. Yeah, no. I just kind of sat there like, all right, this is a thing. It's happening. Cool. I've kind of seen this before, but it's all right. And then they had the audacity to like have this dog do like a little nod at the very end of the movie to Luigi. Like, I'm like, why? Don't show
and
him again. I don't want him. Don't make
then
him a
like
thing in this
and then
movie.
this
Don't make him
boss
a thing for the future. No. Get
no,
out of
and then
here.
like the boss characters, I'm like, they are the Super Mario Brothers. Like it was so freaking cheesy, but it was hilarious. It was
It was so
great.
stupid. It was dumb.
It's
I
again,
enjoyed it, but it was dumb.
no, it was dumb. But I can. But you know what? If we are going with this, this is an Illumination movie that plays it completely safe and not gonna try to do anything new, or actually, or besides references, and to just show, yeah, we played Mario 2. Then you know what? I'll take a stupid line. I'll
Listen,
take a stupid line.
if Illumination comes out with a Bowsette reference, either next movie, or if it comes out that there was a Bowsette in reference in this movie, 10 out of 10 movie, 100%. I'll stand by them because Nintendo would
So,
be pissed.
but one thing I want to point out about two things I want to say about I in all of my life, I would have never guessed that you remember in the first Sonic movie where there's the point where he talks about if he gets found, he'll have to transport into the mushroom plant, and there's just a point where he goes, "I hate mushrooms." Like it's supposed, like it was people are like, "Oh, okay, so this is supposed to be like the Sonic Mario jab."
Yeah.
All right. And then we have the Mario
hates
movie.
mushrooms.
Where Mario hates mushrooms. I found it unintentionally funny, I guess. And so that the one thing that both cinematic versions of Mario and Sonic could say, they hate mushrooms. Go figure.
Speaking
the other
to the end of the movie, I want to say, well, there's one thing I want to mention before the Luma. That was
before this.
Okay.
There's another thing I want to say with Mario though, because I
mm-hmm.
feel like it connect. They try to kind of give Mario this thing about himself, which is fair. I like the idea on paper. That he just doesn't give up. And it's not just oh, Sonic doesn't give up, so I appreciate they making him more like Sonic. No, not that. But I think it fits. I think it fits that Mario doesn't give up because if you obviously, like we said, he's kind of like Mickey Mouse. He's the blank slate nice guy that's supposed to that is the face of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Fair. And so if there's a character you would expect to not give up ever, is that kind of guy, right?
Yeah.
I would, and also it kind of fits because how many times do you die when you play the games, and yet you keep trying. This can kind of be administrated to that no matter how many times he fails, he would keep trying because that's who Mario is. I like this idea on paper. I appreciate that they tried, but it again kind of like with the star that I mentioned. It feels like it didn't really go anywhere. Like you could have taken it out and there would be nothing.
I just thought of something funny, and I assume someone's already has done, or is going to do this. And if you don't, I'm giving you comedy gold here. Use it. Mm-hmm. It's free. This is what I do. Yeah. Someone's going to do the whole Captain America Hulk scene, but it's just Donkey Kong. Like Mario looks beat to shit and Donkey Kong raging out in the background. And Peach says, the whole that's my secret, Peach. I never give up. And he just walks out there to get the shit beat out of him even more.
Okay. That's
I'm giving you comedy gold here, people. Yeah, sure, it needs more detail than that to actually be funny. I get that. That's your job. I'm just giving you the idea. Take it, run with it. It's free.
I guess that could work though. If anyone wants to take a jab at that meme, by all means.
I can hear the pity to me. I can hear the pity to the joke in your voice. I can hear the pity you're giving me. I don't want your pity.
Well.
But
you too.
Fair. If we're done with Mario, the Luma.
I just want to point it out that there's this thing that there was this thing here that I think this could have worked, but It needed more.
No,
Needed
I
more.
again, like I think that's gonna be the biggest complaint with this movie in general. It
Okay,
needed
before the
more.
Luma,
It didn't
another
need
thing.
more references. It needed more. It just needed more room for the characters to breathe. It
Yeah,
needed more
and
room for the
before
scenes
the
to just breathe. It just needed more room.
and on that, before the Luma, I forgot one thing. We see that they are talking about the fact that when Peach first sees Mario, she's like another human in the Mushroom Kingdom. And then later on, she tells them that she happened to get to the Mushroom Kingdom when she was a baby, and as someone who was different from the rest of them, they made her their ruler. And it's like, okay, interesting. What is the point of this scene in the movie besides maybe being sequel bait?
Mm.
Because this is never brought up again.
No, that's fair. That's pretty much like that's the only time it's brought up, and then it's never mentioned or talked about again. Really weird though that the Toad's just like, oh, this person, look at them. They deserve to be our ruler because they're just different. It's like a little
I
weird.
mean,
I don't know what to
it's like
think about that. It
reverse,
just feels weird. It
like
just feels weird.
it's kind of like reverse racism in a
I
way. That's like,
guess. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. It's just weird. Like when you
and
actually
again,
sit down and
it's
think
one
about
of
it,
the
it's like,
for an origin
but
movie.
also,
You could have, yeah, and like it's something that's like okay, that's like interesting on paper, but what are you gonna do with it? Oh, nothing. All right.
I mean, it's interesting on paper if you do something with it, but you've done nothing with it. So now we're just left with thoughts, and those thoughts just make it seem weird because it's like, but
Yeah.
why though? And she's human,
Yeah.
and
Like,
she looks like
let's say
this,
that this
and
idea that they planted there just cause the words reversed racism come out of my mouth. Something is not
I
right
don't.
here.
It's weird. There's some it just feels weird. There's probably nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it whatsoever, but it feels weird and off, and that's the issue, I think. Because
Yeah.
they don't
Agreed.
address it, it makes it feel the fact that they bring it up and then don't address it ever again. Maybe they'll address it in a second movie, who knows? But the fact that they just bring it up in this one, say nothing else, it makes it feel weird, right?
Yep.
And when you start to
Agreed.
think about it, it feels even more weird. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about this. I figure it's fine and there's nothing wrong with it, but it feels weird. That's all I know how to say.
Agreed. Agreed completely. So,
And to be clear, not saying they're racist. I don't think there's anything racist about this. It just feels
yeah,
weird.
for the record, when I'm saying reverse racism, I'm saying this as a complete joke
Yes,
because
absolutely.
it's not that I saying that there's any kind of
Nah,
message here.
Peach
It's a
is
complete
super
joke.
racist. That's why Bowser wants to marry her. She just hides it from everyone. He knows, though.
Mhm. Well, anywho, so the Luma was the best part
Agreed.
about
Like,
this whole.
I never would have thought to make one of the Lumas from Super Mario Galaxy into basically just the most depressing thing ever and the most,
To be honest, if you take
edgy, but
Rosalina's backstory, if you take the Rosalina's like a fairy tale background story as a thing, I guess it fits the most because that backstory can be a bit depressing. So
yeah. Agreed. I get that. But yeah, like I figured the Luma is the most sequel bait of sequel bait thing here, considering I assume they might be doing a Mario Galaxy reference stuff next movie if they make a sequel movie.
I mean,
Because the Luma is
Charlie
the most
Day
out
has
of
been
place thing here.
yeah, Charlie Day kept saying that he wants to do a Luigi's Mansion movie, and like there are hints about it here. So
I could get into a Luigi's Mansion movie.
yeah,
That'd be
totally.
fun.
I love Luigi's Mansion.
Like a kid-friendly horror movie, I think would be enjoyable, interesting. I don't know how that would work, but fuck it, let's go for it.
And so one more thing I will say, because I think we kind of covered everything. So post credits and mid credits stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So basically, the mid credits scene is kind of, if I remember, it's just like a Bowser, being stuck in this jar, so mini, and it's like they established that maybe he'll come back and everything.
And he's just playing on a piano.
Yeah,
I did love him flipping over the piano. That's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. And then the post one is Yoshi, the Yoshi egg hatching.
Yep, that's it. Just in the Yoshi egg in Brooklyn. Which, by the way, all that shit happens in Brooklyn. We just cut to black and we're back in the Mushroom Kingdom, and them waking up in the Mushroom Kingdom, like that's where their room is now, and just no mention of all the shit that happened in Brooklyn, apparently.
Yeah, and also, like, does it also seem like the movie just kind of stopped? Like, okay, they live in the Mushroom Kingdom now. Okay, they take the pipe, I guess, back to Britain. That's it. Movie over.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's like, but what about what happened in the quote unquote real world? Like, what? How do? Okay, sure.
Whatever.
Sure. Like, I thought that was going to be like a whole thing where it's like, oh, that's the New Donk City reference stuff. But no, that's nothing, apparently. I don't, okay.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, the post-credit tease is Yoshi, which, alright, give me Yoshi. Why not? I like Yoshi.
I don't know. I'll be honest, like, I get it, but I don't see how that's like, I don't see why that was their post-credits thing, to be honest. Like, I sat there waiting through the credits because apparently that's what we do in movies now.
Like, for the record, if I may, I know, but if I compare this to Sonic again, when you see Tails or Shadow at the end of the respective movies, you get at least what they're trying to do here, right? You also get to see the characters, even if you are a casual, like, because that's like when you see Tails at the end of the first Sonic movie, he says, okay, I found them, I just hope I'm not too late. And then when you see him flying around, and he's zooming around at the same speed Sonic does. So it's like, oh, even if you are a newcomer and you don't know anything about Sonic, you see this and it's like, oh, there's someone else who's like Sonic then. Where is this gonna go in the sequel? And then when you have like in the second one, you have them say, okay, they know about this, secret lab with this other hedgehog who is exactly like Sonic. So it's like, wait, where is this gonna go? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something, it also helps that you actually see the characters. And again, and not to say that this is a bad tease, I'm up for it. But again, if you're a person who's not familiar with Mario, what is this tease going to tell you?
Even if you are, right, this tease doesn't tell you anything other than Yoshi, right? Like, that's all you know. It's like, okay, Yoshi, and he's in Brooklyn. That's all I know. That's all I get from this. No, you see the egg hatch. You hear like, you hear the Yoshi sound.
Yoshi, you hear that, but again, you don't see him, and it's like, why not? For something that plays it so safe, why suddenly do the mystery?
Because or what are we gonna do? Are we gonna do like, Yoshi traveled back in time and he's taking care of Baby Mario, or we get the Baby Mario movie? Or are we going to do a Luigi's Mansion movie? Or are we going to do like a Mario Galaxy movie? Who knows? That's the mystery.
I will say...
Is there going to be a Bowser reference in the next movie? Who knows?
I'll tell you this. Considering we are kind of at the end of this, anything else to say about the movie itself, or should we actually talk about the future of this?
Well, I do have a question. And that is... I'm going to make you do this. Because
hate me.
Because I love making our viewers hate you even more because you reference it too much. Sonic, first Sonic movie or first Mario movie?
First Sonic movie.
I'll be honest, I'm the same personally, because at the end of the day, the first Sonic movie felt more like a complete experience. Whether you like it or not, whether you think it's good or not, it at least felt more like a complete experience.
I'll tell you what.
Didn't.
For the record, I'll say this because I know people who know me will probably say I have a bias, and I completely understand.
Oh, you absolutely have a bias.
I am not discrediting that. Okay, I have a bias.
But that's
Sonic is my favorite character. Sonic is my favorite character. There's nothing that's gonna change that. But regardless, okay. So, and this is another thing I want to say, because if there's someone who loves Mario more than anything else in the world, and they don't really know Sonic, or they don't care about Sonic, then there's a good chance that they would say the Mario movie is better, and that's completely okay. That's completely fine. I get it, but I will say, as movies, and looking at it as from every point of time, the Sonic movie just feels more complete. It actually feels like a movie, and I know there are references in it. There are hints at the game. I know it's not a direct one-to-one, and obviously it's live-action CG while Mario is fully animated. I get that. But you know what? As a movie, as a movie entitled Sonic the Hedgehog, I got a lot more out of Sonic's journey in that movie. I got a lot more out of Robotnik's representation in the movie. I got a lot more out of Sonic's relationships with the characters, even though, besides Robotnik, none of them are from the games. I believed the Sonic movie. I got and by the climax where I'm supposed to feel something and go, yeah, I went, yeah. I'm like, I want to see more because they got this right. And with Mario, it's just like, yeah, it's fun, but I want to love it more. I want to love it more than I ended up in it.
No, that's fair. I agree. As someone who's very much like in the middle of both of these, right? Like, I know of Sonic, have played a little bit, but not a huge fan. Know of Mario, have played some, but not a huge fan. Just have done it. I'm of the same opinion. Like, if you were someone who had no experience of either of these things and you walked in to watch the first Sonic movie, ignoring anything else, just the first Sonic movie, and then went in to watch the first Mario movie, this Mario movie, I feel like you're going to walk away feeling more enjoyment and feeling more completed from the Sonic movie. That's not to say the Mario movie is bad. That's not to say Sonic wins, Mario had a terrible movie. That's to say that the Sonic movie just felt more like a movie. There is entirely the chance that the Mario movie comes out and the second Mario movie comes out and is better. We don't know yet. We'll see one day. But until then, viewing it just the first movies that came out, right? Ignoring the second Sonic movie. The first Sonic movie does feel more complete. I feel like I had a more complete viewing experience.
I'll tell you what, and I'll also tell you what, I've shown the first Sonic movie to friends and my girlfriend who were not Sonic fans. And the movie actually got them interested in the franchise. I'm not saying they're full-blown fans now or anything, but it got them interested in the character and learning more about the games and what else it has in store. I am not sure if the Mario movie will necessarily do it to people who don't know Mario. Maybe it will. And if it will, then great. Just, the point is clear. I don't need to explain.
I get you. Again, it's, it's definitely down to preferences, right? And I get that. I figure people are going to be comparing these no matter what, in some way, shape, or form.
Because it's Mario and Sonic.
It's Mario and Sonic.
Yeah, because if you want to name it, I don't think that besides Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny, I guess, I don't think about any two other fictional characters who have so much a history of rivalry. Although,
Donald
you
Duck and Daffy Duck.
Yeah, but it kind of falls under the Mickey Mouse Bugs Bunny, like the Disney versus.
Fair.
So these are two franchises that has been, and to be honest, you could also say that the rivalry is kind of dead because Sonic is on Nintendo consoles now and everything, and they've appeared in games together. But yeah, they are kind of like those rival franchises that people are gonna compare no matter what. And I've seen
Sonic's dead now, so it's all good.
That April Fool's game is freaking awesome. I'll just say, but again, looking at this completely from this, I know there are gonna be comparisons, and it's completely fine to prefer one over the other. But for the love of God, be mature about this.
Yeah,
be mature about it, because I've seen some really immature and outright lies-based arguments to support either side, and that's wrong. That's bullshit. You can disagree, but for the love of God, be mature about this.
Or at least just be funny, and not bad funny, good funny. If you can't be good funny, don't try to be funny. Be me funny, because I'm good funny.
Debatable, but whatever.
Hurtful,
okay, so
rude.
I think we kind of danced around this long enough.
I've been cut deep.
We've been dancing about. So we talked about what we would kind of like to see in a sequel. We know that there's supposedly, right, and I think it's kind of announced, not really, that there's a DK movie happening. people already want Illumination to do other Nintendo franchises.
I would like to. I would like it if it wasn't just Illumination. Personally, I would like
That's
it if
what I
other
want to say.
studios would be able to have
That's
their hand
exactly
at it.
what I'm to say. I don't want Illumination to just be the Nintendo company now. I don't want that because, let's say it like this. And I'm saying this now, and I'm saying this with all the love and appreciation I have for Metroid. Illumination are the wrong fucking studio to do Metroid. The wrong possible choice. No way.
Like, yeah, I agree. I would not want them doing Metroid. Not that story.
I would even say not even Zelda. I won't give Zelda to them either. If there's another Nintendo franchise I can see working with Illumination,
unless you want, hey, Princess Repeat, but possibly even worse.
It's excuse me, Princess.
Excuse me, I'm old. Leave me alone.
Well, I will say if there's a Nintendo franchise another Nintendo franchise that I can see Illumination handling, maybe Pikmin.
I feel like Pikmin's just gonna be the fucking minions, and I would rather them not. I would rather they didn't.
I'm not saying that. Honestly, giving everyone else, I feel like if there's one, if they just have to do one more, I guess Pikmin is the one that is more up there.
Pikmin's fine, but I swear to fucking God, if they make the Pikmin like, oh, here's the minion noises, but with Pikmin now, I'm fucking done with you.
This is
fucking
suck. But at the same time,
I'm done with you, Illumination. You're not funny.
I would prefer the Illumination doing Pikmin than. Because Zelda, I don't believe is up their alley. Metroid, give me a break. If anything, Metroid, I think
they can do the Bayonetta movie.
Bayonetta is like on Nintendo now. I know, but I think it's still Platinum.
It's still owned by Platinum, but Nintendo's funded like the last 2 games. Essentially,
I know, but at the same time, if there are going to be any Bayonetta movies, that's on, that's more on on a Platinum, and whatever they want to do with it, they choose the studio. So
yeah,
I'm not really counting it as a
great studio for Bayonetta.
The point is, I don't count it as a Nintendo IP.
No, I get you, but yeah, like I'm fine with them doing Donkey Kong. I think that fits with Illumination. I'm fine. I agree. Pikmin's okay. As long as they don't do any minion references, I think it'd be fine. They're not going to be able to help themselves, though, I'm sure.
But I will say, if we're gonna get more Nintendo movies now, because
I just don't want Illumination to do them all. I would rather.
Yeah, I don't want Illumination to be. Because again, if Illumination is gonna become the Nintendo house, then I don't really have expectations from like a Zelda or Metroid movie, which could have great potential. Because again, if they announce that someone is doing a Metroid movie, I'm there day one. Give me that shit. But
so
if you
Metroid
tell me
for me, but Zelda, hell yeah, I'd be there day one. I'm in. It's like, very dependent, but I'm in. You have my interest.
Yeah, but you see, I would say I will be there day one for Zelda too, but as long as it's not Illumination, because I don't have trust in it.
Yeah, if I see there's a Zelda movie coming out, Illumination is behind it, I'm immediately like, you had me for like a brief second until you said that last part, and now I'm just kind of, I'll be there when I'm there, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say that because but I mean, they've not made anything that's really made me go, this company, right? Like, they've done one thing that was the first Despicable Me movie. They've done one thing that was the first Despicable Me movie that made me go, yeah, they have potential. And then it's just kind of been coast.
Yeah.
Somewhat downhill.
They do visuals. Like, look at the Grinch movie. The visuals in that are fantastic, but the story, again, just bad.
Yeah, story and characters, they're very... as we've said, right? They're very safe. We stay right at the speed we do, and we coast
again.
Through
like, I haven't seen those movies. From what I've heard, like the first Secret Life of Pets was like, oh, okay, it's not amazing, but it's fun. It's cool. It's like
But that's what you can say about pretty much all of the
Wait,
Illumination
wait,
movies is that it's fun,
yeah,
it's cool, it's not amazing, but it's
eh,
fun, it's cool.
wait a second.
Yeah.
But people are like, yeah, it's cool, it was fine, I enjoyed it. But then they made a sequel, and people are like, okay, the sequel just, you can tell they just wanted money, and that's it, nothing more, nothing less. And again, it's like it's a junk food mentality, and it works for them and good for them. It's freaking universal. You see the advertisement they put into this Mario movie, like with the drones and shit. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, however, I don't think it's allowed to ask to actually have effort put into
But I
a
mean,
movie script.
yeah, I agree. Even the other thing, right? Even ignoring the fact that I would like to see, even ignoring like Metroid and Zelda, I would just like to see other studios have their shot at this and not it just be all Illumination.
Yeah.
It's the same with like
And
Disney kind of essentially loaning out the Star Wars IP, right? There's been some fun shit that's come from that hasn't been Disney, like for video games, or like I look at the animated Star Wars thing they did, right? Where they had like the fucking samurai Star Wars with the lightsaber umbrella. That shit was cool. I understand Star Wars fans hated that stuff. I don't really care about their opinion though, because I'm looking at it, I'm like,
But
this is cool.
now comes the question though, when we say other Nintendo franchises and we don't want to put all this under Illumination, then people are already asking, when are we gonna get the Smash Brothers movie? And I will be honest with you,
No,
if
no, we don't. No, just don't. No, just no,
I get the appeal,
no,
but honestly, I am kind of sick that everything has to lead up to a big team up now.
no. Please no.
Like and
Please
and
no.
But the other reason I'm like kind of about the Smash movie, because that would require all of those franchises to be under the same studio. And because let's say there is a Smash Brothers movie happening, then you already can't have Sonic in there because that's under Paramount, and
I
Mario is
just no.
Illumination.
I mean, if they can find a way to make it work, I guess, but I would rather just no. I would just no. Please don't. No. Don't ask stupid questions because you get stupid things, and let's just know.
Yeah, I guess that's really my hot take for this. I don't think I really want a Smash Brothers movie now.
I'm interested in a Metroid movie. I'm interested in a Zelda movie, and that's about it for me. Like, maybe Mario gets better. Maybe they can make an amazing Donkey Kong movie and blow me the fuck away. I don't know what the fuck they'd do for a Pikmin movie, but maybe they can figure shit out. If they do
Again,
Minions,
keep in mind,
fuck
I
you.
only said
Ignoring
Pikmin
that.
because I feel like this is most in their alley. I'm not saying
know,
that this is a thing that's considered.
I'm down for like an F-Zero movie, Captain Falcon. Let's get that shit in there, yo,
Oh,
because that was fun.
Nintendo doesn't care about that, sadly.
I mean, no, but those F-Zero fans got to have some hope left for something, man. Maybe this is their one chance. They're never getting another game. Let's give them at least a little ball.
Uh-huh.
Let's give them a small bone. They need something.
Remember that Mega Man movie that's in development in Netflix? What happened to that?
Don't make Mega Man fans feel that way. They're already sad enough. Have you seen the shit they've put up with?
What?
They got that, the shit spiritual succession to Mega Man. Whatever the fuck
what
that
are you
was.
talking about?
That
Mighty Number 9?
Yes, that one.
Oh, no, you know that Mega Man 11 came out and is really freaking great. It came out, it's been a few years, but Mega Man really bounced back from that.
I forgot about that. I guess it did. All right, they've had their they're good then. They're fine.
No, Netflix announced that this Mega Man movie is happening, so you know what? Let's see where that goes.
It'd be good, but yeah, let's give the F-Zero fans a bone. They need something. They're not getting anything else ever again.
What about Splatoon? Let's get a Splatoon movie.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'd be down for that. That'd be interesting. That's another thing that I think Illumination could do, maybe, but if you want my personal opinion.
Honestly, I know it's something they can do because Splatoon really leans into the whole trendy thing,
Yeah.
So on the one hand, it would fit them, but at the same time, I think it's too easy for them. It's like, no, don't over merchandise this, please.
But we're going to anyways. But yeah, if you ask my personal opinion, I hope it's not all Illumination. I hope they shop some things around and allow other studios to take a crack at this if they're interested in taking a crack at it. Because
Definitely.
I would just it would be I know what I'm for the most part, I feel like I know exactly what I'm walking into when I see an Illumination movie, and I've not been surprised by that yet. Every time I see one, whether it's in the movie theaters, which this is the first one in a long time since ever actually. I've never watched I've never watched a Illumination movie in theaters because why would I? Because I know what I'm walking into with them. This is the first one ever,
Well,
and I
insane,
mean,
basically.
you know, I just I would like to see other studios have their shot because I think there's more interesting stuff that can be done beyond Illumination, and Illumination hasn't shown that they're interested in doing that, right?
Yeah. You know, I just, who would be great at doing a Zelda movie? DreamWorks.
That was my thought too. I think those are the people I would go to for a Zelda movie because I think,
I
they could do
I
it.
would have said I would have said Disney, but no, Disney won't do that. No way.
I feel like Disney would be I don't know. I don't think it fits with Disney. I think DreamWorks is the ones who could make
Yeah,
Zelda work better.
DreamWorks could do it. I think.
Metroid's a bit harder, but I feel like Metroid shouldn't be like a kids movie personally.
Yeah, no, I think Metroid would work better in a live action environment. Like get us to like a enter studio here that can do something like that.
Like maybe you could do
And
it in animation, but it would be like more teenager slash adult oriented animation style stuff, right?
yeah, like honestly, if you do it in Metroid animation, maybe just keep it to
Metroid
like
might be better as a show.
yeah. I was about to say maybe like the Castlevania show or Kane. Something like that.
Yes, agreed. One of those studios. Zelda might or might not be better as a show, but I think Zelda could do it a
So,
movie. But
so the
anyway,
last thing I will say to wrap this up, I will say though, the one thing I can positively say about the Mario movie is that to all the people who say I can't play Mario on my PlayStation, just wait until the Blu-ray comes out and I'm gonna play it on my PS5.
you're fucking awful.
Okay, you know what? I just because I'm using the PS5 and all that for my movies. So like, listen, if I ended up getting the Blu-ray, it's like, well, who said I can't play Mario on the PlayStation now?
You're fucking awful.
I know. So I guess this is all for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed it. What are your thoughts about the Mario movie? What do you want to see from a sequel? Or what other Nintendo franchise would you like to see happening? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below, on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with a capital B, capital C, and on our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team. So until next time, I was HC.
I was Wolf.
We will see you all next time. Take care and woohoo!
Bye-bye.